Hello, how are you? My name's Samantha and this is episode 6 of the Khaos Kismet podcast. This is my little place on the internet where I talk about all the things that I've been up to this week. I am predominantly a crochet and knitting podcast, but I will have other things that pop up sometimes as well, mostly in the form of embroidery, cross stitch, sewing. I really want to get back into sewing this year. And I want to start making clothes this year. So at the minute, there's not a lot of sewing. I'm hoping that at some point there will be, but we'll see. Clothes are scary. I will knit clothes, I will crochet clothes. For some reason, sewing clothes seems to be scary. I have no idea why. Anyway, I'm waffling already. Today we have some knitting, we have some crochet, we have some cross stitch, we have a couple of books to show you. What else do we have? Then a little bit. There'll be a lot of waffling because that's what we do here. We go off on tangents and we waffle. Right, so before we start waffling too much, actually, before we start, a couple of things. I'm sorry if I keep messing with my hair. I've washed my hair. I haven't conditioned it because I plan on dyeing it this afternoon. I have decided to go with the whole dyeing thing. If you've watched previous episodes or if you know me at all, this has been a thing. But I've decided I've had enough. I don't like this whole grown old gracefully thing. Don't do anything gracefully, so grown old, definitely not. So I'm going to be dyeing my hair. So my hair is fluffy and keeps like going all over the place. It's annoying. I apologise if I keep messing with it. I bought, if you've been on TikTok at all, you will have seen these. I bought the old version though. It's a hula hoop with a weight on it. And I bought the older one because everybody kept saying that the new one keeps catching on their skin. And because I am of a quite cuddly physique, I decided that I would like to get the one that's not going to leave bruises all over me and catch on my skin. So there's that. What else? A big thank you to Sarah, who sent me the biggest list of UK podcasters. It was so nice of her. She's taken time to do that. So that's a lot of what I've been doing this week, is having a look at new podcasters. And I found somebody from Fife, which is great, the Aria Bark podcast. Honestly, I watched a couple of episodes and she's done more Stephen West shows than I will ever do in my entire life, because I love the look of Stephen West shows. I do not have the patience for them because they're massive. But if you like looking at pretty things, if you like looking at some like beautiful work, go and see Aria Bark. And she's a Fifer. She actually lived in the same place that I lived for a while. So that's nice. I don't live in Scotland anymore. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that. I'm considering doing like a hi, this is me introduction video, because it occurred to me I've never actually done that. And people will hear me talk and they will obviously assume that I'm Scottish, so I'm in Scotland. I'm not. I'm in the West Midlands. I live in Wolverhampton. I haven't lived in Scotland for about 15 years. Coffee. The problem is that when you move away from somewhere and then you move somewhere else, as an adult, you don't lose your accent. My oldest son, he was 6 when we moved away, and he now sounds more English than Scottish. My 2 younger kids were born in Wolverhampton, so they have full-on Wolverhampton accents. I speak a lot slower than I used to, but other than that, I have a very Scottish accent. You might have noticed, maybe. So it's nice to see a podcast from somebody who lives in the place, like somebody who sounds like me, essentially, because there's not that many. And I've seen a few different Scottish podcasts, but they tend to be more rural. Like where I'm from, it's across the Central Belt, which is like the populated part of Scotland. That's where like all the main bit of where people live. And a lot of the podcasts I see, it's from people that are up north or down south in the more rural bits, which is lovely, and I'm very jealous of them. So yeah, oh god, that was a tangent. I'm sorry. So anyway, yes, thank you, Sarah, for sending me that massive list of podcasts. Oh dear. And see, when I do that, you can really see it. I look like a badger. Stop obsessing about the hair. Right, actual stuff that I've been doing. I've got 3 finished objects. This is one of them. I don't really want to take it off, but this is coming off, so there you go. My virus shawl. I've decided I'm keeping this one for me. That's my t-shirt. The Wolf Father. I've decided that I'm keeping this one for myself because I like it and it's purple, and yeah, I'm just keeping it. So this is just like the virus shawl pattern. No changes to it, no extras, no grannies, no nothing, just the basic virus. And this is the Cascade Heritage that I've made my electric squeeze top out of. This one in the middle is Stylecraft Head Over Heels, which is their sock yarn. Now, this purple is merino. If you've ever used Cascade, it's very soft, it's very nice. This, because it's a commercial sock yarn, is wool. So it's not rough, but it's certainly not as soft as this. But I didn't think I'd have enough of the Cascade, because it's not turned out massive. I mean, it's not tiny, obviously, but it's not huge either. By the time you've got it around your neck, see, not huge. So I thought I would add that in as well, because I had about 60-ish, 62 grams maybe of this left. I made a pair of shorties with it. Yeah, I have big feet. So I made a pair of shorties with it, and that's what I had left. And I thought I'll just chuck that in as well. So that's another leftover. Quite happy with that. I was right down to the wire on this as well. On these ones, with the virus, and I can talk about it, it's a free pattern, but these little bits here, wrong way. I'm still getting used to the camera, sorry. These little bits have like 10 double crochets for each thing. Now, I got down to the last row and I was going to be about 2 grams, I think, short. So what I did was I just put 9 in each of these all the way across, and it turns out that adds up, and I won Yarn Chicken, and I got that last row in, and I've got that much left. It's the same with this one. I've had like the tiniest little bit of that left. So I'm very happy with that, and that forms the start of my 4-ply magic knot ball that I'm going to be making. I've already started my DK one, my DK acrylic one, and that'll be a mix of DK and iron in that, because if you're going to put them in like a blanket or something, the difference is negligible. But I'm putting the 4-ply, anything that's wool, so like merino or wool or whatever, that's all going to go in that one. So the next finished subject is also a scrappy project. Now, people say scrappy project and they think it actually has to be scrappy and multicoloured. No, a scrappy project is literally using up the bits that you have left. So from the cowl that I made a couple of weeks ago, which I'll talk about that in a minute, I had the cream left over and I had this brown left over. Now, the cream is a Stylecraft. I can get that again, that's fine. This one is a Mariner Heritage one, and they are no longer producing yarn as far as I'm aware. So I'm not going to be able to get that again. And this is the Wendy DK, Wendy with Wool DK that I use on my Hexie cardigan. So I will take this down and I will show you. I used a 5.5mm hook. This is all DK, but I use a 5.5mm hook so that I would get a bit of drape on it. And it's just a basic granny shawl, and then at the end I've just done rows of DCs. And then it's been washed and dried, and it's now just lovely and soft and drapey. These two are 100% acrylic. This one has got 20% wool in it. This one's going to be going in. Oh, this one's going to be going in the shop. Oh dear. Get you dressed again. There we go. So yeah, this one's going to be going in the shop. I'm going to talk about that a bit at the end, if I remember. I'll write it down actually. Write it down so I don't forget, because I have a memory like a sieve in my little notes. Oh dear. So yeah, just 2 scrappy projects. They were all part balls of things that I had left from other projects, and scrappy doesn't mean it has to be all with. If that's what you like, then that's fine. But scrappy can also be cohesive like this or like this. But that's more out of my carrying on and getting things out the bag and not putting things back. The last finished object that I have is this. Now, this is the one that I made originally. And this is the one that I've made these from. Look, it looks completely different. It's crazy. It's crazy how different stitches and like different combos can just make the same yarn look so different. So this is the original one that I made, and then I made this one this week. So it's exactly the same. It's just this one's a bit taller. And this one is using a paintbox DK, and I used almost the entire ball. I've got the tiniest little bit of this one left as well. I just wanted to see how tall it would end up if you used a full 100 grams. But I also wanted, because this is going to be a free pattern on my blog post, I wanted to show it in different colours. So I wanted it in, I already had it in sort of muted stripes. Now I got it in a solid, where you can see the stitch definition. And I'm going to make one more where I want to make a video tutorial for it, which is why I've not actually got it up on the blog yet. Oh, itchy nose now. Oh, floof. I want to make a video tutorial for it. I want to do one in like high contrast colours, so that for one you'll be able to see it better on a video, but also just because it's the only colour combo I haven't really done yet is a high contrast. So I was having a look around and I said to the kids, do you know what high contrast means? My smallest person's like, yes, it means 2 colours that are really different. Yes. Okay. I want to make this cowl in high contrast so that I can make a video for it so that people can learn how to make it. What colour do you think it should be? And before the words were even out of my mouth, he's like, black and pink. I don't influence my child, not at all. So he wants it in black and pink. I don't think, I will probably make a black and pink one. I don't think I'll make a black and pink one for a video tutorial though. The pink would be fine, but I don't think black is the best choice for a video tutorial really. So I might maybe do a grey, a pink and grey, something like that. I don't know. I'll have a look and see what I've got. So that's that. I'm going to try and get that done this week. it's just been so hectic recently. I don't know where my time's going. So that's it for finished objects. Whips. Now, because I've got the 3 finished objects, I don't have much in the way of whips. My 2 sets of mitts, the quick mitts and the cloudburst ones, I haven't worked on at all. Well, the quick mitts I've done maybe about 2 rows on. It's not really worth showing you them. The cloudburst I haven't done at all. That is still literally just 2 rows of ribbon. And the totodile as well, I've not worked on that. The things that I have worked on, I haven't had a huge amount. So I will show you this first. This is my sock bag. Now, I put a short up about these yesterday, and I think I put it up on my TikTok as well. So annoyed. So these were my going around doing stuff socks. So we have these, my Regia. No, are we focusing? No? Okay, we don't want to do the focusing today. So basically this sits in a bag like that, and I pull from the middle. 50 gram balls. Now what happens, if you've ever pulled from the middle, you will know this. What happens is, or if you have any kind of common sense, you would know this. As you're pulling from the middle, obviously it collapses on itself eventually. So the first ball had done that because I've got most of the sock done with the giant foot of doom. I don't know if I turned the heel the last time I showed you, but it now has a heel and I've done a bit of the leg. It's got these like brown flecks in it, which looks a little dirty on camera, but they look quite cool in real life. Honestly, they don't look dirty. They look a little bit like army socks. So we have these, and because my ball had collapsed, I started to wind it, as you do. And then we had this happen. All these little balls. Right, this is the one that's attached. So, and there's already a broken one inside here. One, okay, fair enough. But having this many little broken bits, I'm so annoyed. I don't like weaving in ends, and I don't trust most other methods, especially not in socks, because there's always going to be a lot of movement in socks, and yeah. So I've got my little Pickle Lily DPN holder. There we are. She's on Etsy. Oh, they're on Etsy. With my little DPNs in there. I use the Knit Pro Symphonies. I use short ones because I find longer DPNs feels a little bit like I'm wrestling with an octopus with knives. So I use short DPNs. And I think DPNs are my favourite thing. I keep trying with the 9-inch circulars, I keep trying with Magic Loop, and ultimately I end up going back to DPNs because, oh, floof. I've got a bit of floof over those. I don't know if I'm getting it because it's still a bit itchy. Right, so what else have we got? What else? Whips wise? Oh, we started a new thing, because obviously I don't already have like a bajillion things I can work on. Let's see if we can find this. Now this is on Ravelry, and on Ravelry it is £3.60, but I got it from Let's Knit magazine, issue 174. Now, as you can see, it's very pretty. It's got like 3 of these big main cables, and then it's got like a little mini cable running up here. I don't know if I'm going to do the cables on the sleeves, but it's made in pieces, which I have feelings about. On the one hand, I hate sewing things together. On the other hand, I know that if I'm making something that's quite heavy, I prefer the structure of having something that's seamed together, so it doesn't end up all like loose and stretchy. So we have started on the back. And what did we learn from this experience, Samantha? Well, people of the world, what we learned from this experience is we don't try to do cable setups while we're very, very tired. We do not try to do cable setups while we have children present, because they keep talking to me and wanting attention. So we had to do the cable setup several times. It's not even difficult cables, but I don't even think you're going to see that. That's how much cabling. Let me show you the right side. Right. Or am I? No, right. Can you see the start of my little baby cables? That took me a really long time to do. It says, these are great. It's a wool warehouse bag, but it's one of the smaller ones that they tend to send fabric and things in. Oh, my nose is so really itchy. I've got a bit of floof somewhere and it just keeps itching me. So, again, this is not a colour that I would normally buy. However, so Hayfield Bonus Aran with wool. I was on the Sardar website ages ago, and was it a sale? Or did I just happen to come across it? I think I was looking, it was when I was looking for something to make Richard's jumper, which is where I bought the brown stuff that he ended up, that turned into my Hexie cardigan, because he ended up not wanting it. And they happened to have these, and in this colour, only in this colour, that was £4 a ball. It was in the sale, so I don't know if it's like a discontinued colour. It's called Bluebird. And I thought, £4 for 400 grams. I'll just get a couple of them. So I got a couple of them, and now I've decided I'm going to make myself a cable jumper. I don't know why, I just had this thing recently where I just really want to work a cable jumper. Like an old school Aran type. I don't know what's wrong with me. But I have decided that that's what I want to do, so that's the start of it. Hopefully by next week it will be more than an inch tall. I'm hoping now we've got the setup done, it'll be a lot easier to go through. I've not done anything with cables in it for ages, and I actually really enjoy doing cables. Like colour work, I really enjoy doing colour work, and I haven't done any for ages. So I think after I've done the cables, then there'll be a colour work project on the go. And I think that the last thing that I have to show you is, let me just double check. Yes, it is, my last bit is my 100-day project, which obviously I've left over there. I'll be back in 1 minute. I'm not cutting that out. Okay, so my 100-day project, which I have consistently forgotten to take pictures of and forgotten to put updates of, because I'm good like that. It's in my bag that I made. This is really nice fabric actually. I got this from AliExpress. And it came super fast, and it's actually really nice quality. The inside I've just done plain black. So, I mean, I'll show you the picture of what it is going to look like. So it's Heaven and Earth Designs. They chart it. The artist is Jasmine Becca Griffiths. And as you can see, it is Snow White and Alice in Wonderland. I have a slight Alice in Wonderland obsession. If you go onto the Heaven and Earth Designs, they do also do free charts. If you ever wanted to get into cross stitch and do full coverage, which is what these are, this is like some of the free charts, because as you will see from that's the full thing there. As you'll see from this, the charts are not cheap at all. I mean, they're worth getting. I've been working this since 2018, I think. I bought this pattern. So, I mean, they do take a long time to do, but they are full coverage and they end up looking like photographs when they're finished. So, Heaven and Earth, see, if we look at charts by artist, this is all the different artists. It says Jasmine Becca Griffiths, and she's my favourite. But there's so many different artists, and they're always adding new ones. And like you go into these, and there'll be like several by the same artist. So if cross stitch is something that you fancy getting into, or something you're already doing, you fancy getting into full coverage, these are the free charts they've got available at the minute. And you literally just go on there and download them. And it's just a download link, and it downloads a PDF for you. I really like this one, and I really like the wee gnome. So I have finished. I'm doing colour completion on this, which I normally wouldn't do for a full coverage. It just happens to be that on this one, there's a lot of chunks of colour. Like, so for example, the black. The black was literally 20% of the pattern. Well, like 19 point something percent of the pattern. But that's going to be the full size of it there. So I think the last time, wait a minute. Last time I was still on Snow White and I had done like an arm here. So I've filled in, there's some more down here. I've finished filling in the arm, and then I've moved over and I'm now on Snow White's face. Oh, there's a random little bit up here as well. That's all, but there's a random little bit up there. So I'm making progress slowly. And I'm just doing it, I say, colour by colour, because there's some nice big chunks of colour in it. And yeah, it's starting to look really good now. You can start to see, once you start seeing shapes appear in, or once you start seeing like recognisable pieces of the picture appear in, it makes you want to do more, because it's an actual thing now. It's not just like random bits of colour everywhere. So yeah, that's all my whips. What else have we got to talk about? Right, so that's my 100-day project. That's a hashtag, a lot of people are doing it. Abby from Blue Heart Crochet as well, she's doing a cross stitch one. I think she's doing a lavender and lace. It's for her sister, I believe. It's either for her sister or for her sister's kids. I can't remember. But it's a lovely pattern. You should go over and have a look at what she's been doing. Let's see. Yeah, so I need to actually remember to take pictures. I'm so bad at remembering to take pictures. I think that's it for like the yarny content. I've got a couple of books. I'd actually got them a couple of weeks ago. I just forgot to show you them. Got this one. And this is literally just like little patterns like these. And you just go on and trace them off. They're all very cute. It's a seahorse, some jellyfish, just all like little sea life creatures. But then when you go to the back, it'll give you like instructions on how to do them, and it doesn't have the coloured pictures inside to show you what they're going to look like, but they've got some on the cover. So it goes over all the different techniques. Yeah, like this guy here has got sequins, sort of beads and French knots, and that's a satin stitch, and it just goes through. If you're kind of familiar with embroidery, it's quite a good book, and it was only something like £5 on Amazon. So just a nice little book. The next two, we have a very shiny rose minuscule, and to go with that I got this one, Ginger Melon Embroidered Animals. Now for these two, this is the Ginger Melon one. What I'm thinking about doing, and it was there's an amigurumi book hashtag, and I missed it. It was going on just, I'm seeing, there's a picture in this one that I could show you. I had missed it, but it got me to thinking, I've got a lot of books. I've got new ones, I've got old ones, I've got like vintage type old ones, and I'm thinking what I might maybe do, can't find the picture of them all together. What I might maybe do is do like, can you see those? Pick maybe a book a week and make stuff from it. Now I've got books on crochet, knitting, Tunisian, sewing, embroidery, doll making, teddy bear making, red work, black work, needle felting, just so many different crafty type books, and then I've just got like random ones on different random crafts. So I'm thinking about maybe doing a little series of just grabbing a book, making something from it, and then doing an actual proper book review on it, having like a proper flip through a book, and just do a mixture of newer books, older books. I know a lot of people that they like to find them second hand. I tend to prefer to buy my books second hand. Yeah, so if that's something that you think you might be interested in, let me know. And if you have like an area that you would prefer me to start in, for crochet books, I've got a lot of amigurumi ones, but I've also got a lot of things that are like blankets or clothes, or other just general crochet stuff. So yeah, if you have like preferences for where you want me to start with that, let me know. And then I think that might be the last. That might be the last little bit of crafty stuff. So what else have we been up to this week? This is how bad it is, right? I have to write down on my notes what I've watched on TV and what books I've been reading and things like that, because I literally, my brain is so fuzzy, I can't remember anything. So last weekend, my partner was down, and the kids were at the dad's, and we had a nice little weekend where we just ordered in food, and we had a few drinks, and we binged watched Carnival Row. Season 2 came out, and it's on Amazon Prime, and it's really good. And it's quite funny because I like history, so I know quite a lot of like the historical references and the parallels between Carnival Row world and the actual world. And my partner's not as much into that sort of stuff. If it's not been in a game on the computer, he probably doesn't know about it. It's surprising the amount of information he knows from computer games. But we watched that. That was really good. And it's set up nicely for another season. It's very short. It was only like 8 episodes, I believe. And it's the same with, I watched Lockwood & Co., which is on Netflix. I watched that on my own. And it was better than I thought it would be. It's the cast, the main cast is kids. And the premise of it is the world's been taken over by ghosts and only kids can see them. So they form agencies to get rid of the ghosts. And yeah, that was pretty good. Nice little sort of light-hearted, not like comedy kind of light-hearted, but sort of easy watching. There's nothing traumatic in it. There's nothing terrible in it. Like, I'm quite happy for the kids to watch it because my kids like a bit of a scare. They like sort of creepy horror things. So yeah, that was pretty good. That was worth a watch. Again, very short. I think that was 8 episodes as well. And I enjoyed that. And other than that, I've been watching a lot of podcasts. We did watch a movie as well when Richard was here at the weekend. I don't know how many years ago it was, but I know that my son, my oldest son, watched it when he still lived at home as a young teenager. So it must be quite old. The Teen Wolf movie. And it's not the Michael J. Fox one. It's the one from the Teen Wolf series that was, I believe, on Netflix many, many years ago. And it's like a continuation from that. Now, I'd never really watched the series. I'd only sort of half watched it because my son was watching it. So I kind of knew who the people were, but not really. And I think it's 20 years later it's meant to be set. Like the original series is them in high school, and the movie's set 20 years later, so they're all grown-ups. And because I didn't watch the series, I didn't know like a lot of the storyline stuff, and because it carries on directly from it by the looks of it, I spent most of the movie quite confused. So unless you've watched the series, I wouldn't recommend watching the film, because it was a bit like, there's like 2 hours of my life I'm not going to get back because I have no idea what went on before, so I'm not really sure what's going on now. It wasn't terrible to watch, but, you know, and it's one of those, it's aimed at people who already are in that universe. And I think that might be about it. I've carried on watching 7 Deadly Sins. And then the rest of the week, I think I've just been watching podcasts, or I've had music on, or I've had my audiobook on. Not finished any of my books yet. About halfway through the originals, just over halfway through on Earl of Brass, and I'm almost finished The Sandman, which is just continuing to be like a load of short stories that are not linked together at all, apart from the fact they have Morpheus in them. I think I've got about an hour and a half left on that, so I'm going to try and get that knocked out. Probably not today because I need to go and get the kids from school soon. But yeah, hopefully over the next couple of days and see if it comes to anything. I've signed up on Goodreads. I was watching, who's I was watching now? Ollie and Bella. Cherie on Ollie and Bella podcast, and she does a lot of sort of vloggy type things, and she reads a lot. And she had mentioned Goodreads, so obviously I was like, ooh, what's that? So went and signed up for it, and it'll be a good way of me actually keeping track of things and having something to to aim for. My aim is to read 20 books this year, and so far I've read 2, so we're not doing too well. Oh, right. There is actually one more thing. My plans. My plans for this week are mostly going to consist of playing World of Warcraft, because there was a new expansion before Christmas. I played it quite a lot then, and then December happened and I had to stop playing quite so much. And then I spent most of January ill. And then I've just been really busy since then. So now I'm trying to get back into it because I miss playing it. I enjoy playing it. So this week and also I need to make a concerted effort to separate my daytime from my nighttime, because what's happening at the minute is it's all just blending into one big long day. It happens when you're self-employed, and I'm finding that instead of like taking time to relax at nighttime, I'm carrying on working, which is not good. That's another thing. I'm going to show you this first, and then I'm going to talk about my shop. Not about stuff going in my shop or anything, just about something that I'm thinking about doing. So for my birthday, I'm not going to mention the dyer that I got it from, because, I mean, she's a lovely woman. She's really nice. My other half bought me a skein, well, a couple of skeins of hand-dyed yarn from this person. And it is like a... Oh, we almost focused there. It's like zebra yarn. And it's this like vintagey, dirty pink colour. And I am going to make a hat out of this. The issue that I have with this is not natural yarn. The yarn is soft, it's nice. The issue that I have with it is it has no labels on it. So I don't know if I could use this for socks, or if it needs to be something, because I'm not going to use, if it's 100% merino, I'm not going to use it for socks. That's why I'm going to make a hat out of this one. I'm looking at it and assuming that it's 4-ply just by looking at it, but it came with no labels, so I don't know what the composition is, I don't know what the colourway is. The only reason I know it's 100 grams is because I weighed it. I don't know anything about this at all whatsoever, which is not good. You know, if you're selling yarn as a business, put labels on, because a lot of us will buy this and then it will sit in our stash for, in some cases it will sit there for years, and you cannot expect people to just remember everything about the yarn that they've bought. This one's not so bad because, like I say, I can tell that it's 4-ply, it's probably merino, and I'm going to use it for a hat anyway, so it doesn't matter. The other one that I got though, I think it's a DK. I mean, I shouldn't have to, I know there's ways you can tell, but I shouldn't have to do that work. There should be a label on it. So I'm very, also the skein was in a right state. I unwound it, went to put it on my Swift, and I spent, oh my god, I must have spent a good half an hour untangling it to get it wound up, which is why I've not cast it on. And it's just, this is my little Star Wars bag that I made. Look, it's cute. It's very cute fabric. This is my going out, because I can just do that and then the yarn just pokes through there. But that's why it's not cast on, because by the time I'd spent ages winding it up, I was just so annoyed with it. I was like, we'll deal with you later. So yes, yarn buyers, please label your yarn, even if it is just a little handwritten tag tied on with a bit of string. Doesn't take long, it's not difficult, and it saves a lot of hassle. The last thing that I wanted to talk about, because I am aware we're now at 45 minutes, the last thing that I did want to talk about, and it was an idea that oh, look at this, It was an idea that I'd got from watching Stitch by Mrs. D, Paula. And I've been very, very up and down with my Etsy shops. I had neglected them for a long time, and then I went back to them. And at one point I was running 4 shops because I had different things in different shops. What I've decided to do now is just have 2 shops. However, there's all this new bad stuff happening with Etsy, and they keep hiking the prices all the time, and unless we put our prices up, if you go to, say, for instance, buy a pattern, you will find that if you're buying that pattern on Etsy, it is more expensive, and because patterns are quite relatively cheap, the markup on them is going to be a lot more noticeable on Etsy, if you get what I mean, to cover the fees. So say like a pattern is normally a £5, and then you might have to sell it for £6 on Etsy, but you can still sell it for a £5 everywhere else. That's a noticeable difference. Whereas if it's something that's maybe like £100 and you have to sell for 101, you know. These are completely made up numbers. I'm just literally pulling numbers out of my backside here. It's that sort of idea. So I've not been massively enamoured with that, with Etsy anyway. And then there's all this other stuff with the shipping and what else is it that happened recently? I mean, it was something to do with the money, to do with banks, and it wasn't Etsy's fault, but it's a knock-on effect, and they're a multi-million-pound business. They can definitely take the hit for that and make sure that the people working for them are getting their money. But they haven't. So just with all these other things, I have been not so much listing things in my shop, and I've been sort of looking elsewhere. Now, Paula had this problem where she does a shop update, everything gets sold. She does bags, and she does like little handmade, hand-sewn teddy bears, and variations on teddy bears with little jumpers and little dresses. And honestly, if you haven't watched Stitch by Mrs. D, she's so nice to watch. She's like so calming and relaxing to watch. I mean, she's absolutely puddled, but that's, and I mean that in like, I mean that with much love. She's definitely a one-of-a-kind person, and I love watching her. She makes me just happy to watch her. But yeah, she was talking about Ko-fi, and I didn't know this because I always just assumed it was like a donations type thing, which I think it was to start with. But now you can have a shop on there, and they don't charge commission, and they don't charge you for listing your stuff. So she started doing her shop updates on there because she had done a shop update and she sold her stuff, and then Etsy were withholding her money for no reason at all. Like, she's never been late in payment, and like, honestly, I know some people are like, yeah, she's just, no, she's not that sort of person. And I'm in sort of Etsy groups and other things like on Facebook, and this happens a lot, and I'm just not happy with that. So I'm considering trying to put all my stuff on a Ko-fi shop and see how that goes, and just sacking Etsy altogether, because I don't sell enough on Etsy for it to be worth it, I don't think, anymore. I don't want to have to put my prices up. I don't want to have to just deal with all the admin for it, and deal with them withholding money and putting the prices up all the time, and the system they've got for the postal service as well, systems that they've got for, they will allow a customer to leave a review on an item they haven't received. I'm not sure how that works, but that's what they do. And they allow customers to leave reviews about things that are completely out of your control. And then your ranking on Etsy like the star system that they have for your rating from your customer reviews, that sort of has a knock-on effect. So yeah, I'm thinking about opening a coffee shop, and I think I've got my Ko-fi link down there somewhere. That's another thing. All my socials and everything are always down there. I don't really have anything to link this week, but I always have all my socials and emails, and people have messaged me and they're like, oh, I'm sorry that I've messaged you. It's fine. Honestly, all of the things that I have linked there, they're for people to get in touch. And I'm happy to hear from people. It's nice. Like, people leaving comments, and I've got a couple of comments I need to reply to after this as well. But it's nice to hear from people. That's part of the reason why I'm doing this, because I don't know anybody who like does anything like this. And when I do my little intro video as well, I'll tell you about how I don't know anybody here. I mean, it's not for anything bad. It's just I have agoraphobia, so I don't go outside much. Outside is not my happy place. So yeah, I don't know when I'm going to record that. I don't have time to do it today, so it might be Monday, because this is my weekend to have the kids. And in theory, this weekend we are going to be making some clay models with some air drying clay. I'm not sure how much clay my small person thinks we have, but when we were talking about it earlier, I was like, oh, we're doing castles at school, I might just make a castle. Why do you want to make a castle? What kind of castle do you want to make? Oh, well, you know, we're doing some of these like Norman castles, so I might just make one of them and then see how strong it is. I'll build a catapult and catapult at it. I'm like, oh, God. So it looks like I'm in for a fun weekend. And we're also we have a movie night as well, because I have the kids every second weekend, and on my weekend to them we have a movie night. So I don't know what we're going to watch yet, but we'll be having a movie night. Oh my God, we're on 52 minutes. Right, I'm going to stop. I feel like I've waffled far more today than I normally do. And I've probably also forgotten things, because I always forget things even though I write them down. So yeah, thanks for watching. Thank you if you stayed this long, and I shall see you next week, hopefully. Okay. Alright, bye-bye. Have fun. Take those 5 minutes for yourself every day. Just take the 5 minutes. The world will not stop.